What's up, everybody? Matt Kajeski here, back again with the Odd Shopper channel. And today we're talking college basketball bets ahead of Wednesday, February the 22nd. Before we get started, make sure to hit that thumbs up button, subscribe to the channel, and hit the notification bell so you know when this and all other content goes live. If you're listening on podcast, please leave a rating and review over there as well. And we are brought to you by DraftKings Sportsbook. They have a limited time offer where you can bet $5 on a pregame money line, doesn't matter which team. And if that bet wins, you will automatically turn that $5 into $150. So my recommendation is go find a big favorite on the money line. An example of this tonight would be Alabama. They're 17.5-point favorites. So you bet them on the money line, really good chance they win that bet. And that'll help you turn that $5 into $150. You can take advantage of this by clicking the link in the video description below, making your first deposit. And then again, $5 pregame moneyline bet needs to win, then you'll get $150. If you or someone you know has a gambling problem, please call or text 1-800-GAMBLER. The legal age for gambling in most states is 21. All right. Recap yesterday a little bit. Another good day was a 3-1 day, lost on Baylor versus Kansas State. But it was under. City had the under in the Nova Xavier game. Wasn't even close. The Texas Tech Oklahoma game was, man, that was really, really ugly. But the under came in. So sometimes these ugly games, what makes them entertaining is having a winning wager on them. But it's been a good stretch of time. These times are up and down. Remember, we're betting college basketball, highly volatile sports. So we try to spin the success forward to today, where it's an interesting slate, to say the least. Some really good games and then some greasy ones we'll talk about too. First one, we head to the SEC, where we have Vanderbilt taking on LSU. LSU, my goodness. So this is probably one of the weirdest stretches in college basketball. This team loses 14 straight games, I believe it is now, after starting the year 12-1. They have not won a game since December 28th, and they have one win in conference. This team is absolutely putrid, undergoing complete turmoil. Meanwhile, Vanderbilt has sort of turned the corner. This team has won 5 straight. They've beaten really good teams in that span. 2 top 20 teams, maybe not top. I don't know what the actual rankings are. When I say top 20, that's in reference to actual power rankings like KenPom. Anyway, they beat Tennessee, who's number 5 at KenPom. They beat Auburn, who's number 20 at KenPom right now. 2 amazing wins for this team. And they've also beaten teams like Florida in that span too. Florida with Colin Castleton. So anyway, they opened -1, jumped on that immediately against LSU. And there's a ton of reasons for it aside from just record. Really, any sort of efficiency metrics will favor Vanderbilt right now. LSU is a team that actually has some size, but they don't play with it really whatsoever. They're outside the top 300 in 2-point percentage. And Vanderbilt actually has a complexion that's capable of stopping a team like that anyway. Liam Robbins inside is an excellent player, and especially on the offensive end, 7 feet tall, great in the interior. He's shooting threes at 35%. Doesn't take a ton of them, but we've seen him expand that game recently. And Vanderbilt's going to take a ton of threes. That's also an area that LSU doesn't defend very well. Rebounding, we have stark advantages towards Vanderbilt as well, which is really concerning for LSU, considering the size they actually put on the floor. And last thing, when LSU tries to do on offense is shoot threes, they're just not very good at it. They're 231st in 3-point percentage. That's actually the strength of Vanderbilt's defense too. A defense which isn't great. They're 247th overall, but they're actually 62nd in 3-point defense. So really no strength for LSU matching up against Vanderbilt here, but plenty of strength in favor of Vandy, and level of competition and their resumes strongly favor Vandy in this spot. Seeing 2.5 right now, I think that's fine. Grab the -1 earlier again, but no issues with the current line. Going to our second bet, we have Tulane taking on Houston. Battle in the AAC. Houston, really good team. They're still number 1 at KenPom, if I'm not mistaken. 1 or 2. Regardless, you can see they have amazing efficiency metrics across the board. Only 2 losses. They're top 3 in both offense and defense. They're 14-point favorites here, but where I want to focus is the total. 143.5 is a bit steep, in my opinion. We're going under this. Now, these teams have already played this year. That ended with a score of 80-60 in favor of Houston. That was on Tulane's home court. Houston gets the home court here. That's a 140 total, pretty close to the listed total here. But shot quality actually had the score 65-64 in favor of Houston. So not only did Houston drastically overachieve, but they barely outplayed Tulane, barely. Now they're on the home court here. That makes sense. But overall, I mean, I would take Tulane against the spread in this spot, but I think the better bet here is just the under. You already have a game that went 140 in the first matchup, and it should have went way under that again. 65-64 was the shot quality total. And then you have two teams that are actually pretty good on defense. Houston, there's not really much that needs to be said. This team is top 5 in both interior and perimeter defense. They're an excellent rebounding team. They're really good at forcing turnovers, and they play really slow. This team is 66. They average 66.1 possessions per game. Again, the NCAA average is about 70. Now, Tulane is fast on the other side, 77.4. But we know teams that play slower generally have an easier time controlling pace, which suits Houston here. Then on the other side, Tulane's no slouch on defense either. They're 98th in defense. They're inside the top 100 in interior defense. Also a defense that's top 35 in turnovers created. This is an all defense projected slow pace matchup. In a game where we already have a data point, which went under, should have went drastically under. We'll take the under again here at 143.5. Last game, admittedly, one I do not feel as strongly about, but one that is showing value nonetheless. We have St. John's taking on Georgetown. Battle of the bottom of the Big East. St. John's a 2-point favorite, seeing this move to 2.5 in some spots. I took the 2, and that's a number I'm comfortable with, and we'll continue to back the Johnnies on the road against Georgetown. They have every single matchup advantage here. Offensive efficiency, they're 170, Georgetown 227. Defense, 114, Georgetown 315. Rebounding, St. John's is 8th, Georgetown is 71. And Georgetown actually has a slight edge in effective height. Slight, I think it's very close here. With Soriano on the floor for St. John's, I wouldn't be seeding really, I don't think they're seeding much size advantage to Georgetown whatsoever. And we have a data point already. These teams already played. We saw St. John's get a narrow victory over Georgetown, but I'd like to point out that Posh Alexander did not play in that game. According to EvanMaya.com, which does a lot of great player analytics, he's the second most valuable player to St. John's roster. He's also their point guard, and that's extremely important for the St. John's team against the spread. So 2 points here, completely fine with this, and there's nothing to indicate we're going to see any absences for St. John's tonight. It's arguably the healthiest they've been all year, and that excludes Andre Curbelo, who I don't even know if I don't think he's sitting because of injury. I think he's sitting because of a coach's decision. He's been a headache for every coaching staff he's been under. But aside from just the Posh Alexander factor, you have a defense in St. John's, which is really turnover focused, 41st in turnovers created. Georgetown's outside the top 150 in turnovers committed. So you have that edge as well, outside of just the rebounding, defense, offensive efficiency. There isn't really a single advantage Georgetown has in this matchup, despite home court. So we'll back the Johnnies -2 to close this out. Ton of games tonight. Let me know what you think. If there's anything else we'd like to talk about, leave a comment. If you'd like to reach out on Twitter, I'm at Matt_Kajeski. And hit the subscribe button on the way out. Like the video, that helps us a ton. Otherwise, we'll be back tomorrow breaking down the Thursday slate. Until then, good luck, everybody. We'll see you then.